Hey everyone, welcome back to another Music Monday. This week I have Spencer Norrod on the show. He also goes by the name of Son of Supernatural, and he's going to tell you all about his production and music career. Stay tuned! I'm in the studio today with Spencer Norrod. He's a local producer and artist here in Traverse City, Michigan, and he's going to tell you all about his music career. How you doing today, Spencer?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm pretty great. Could you give the people a little bit of an overview of what you do?
I mostly produce hip-hop. I prefer kind of like an old school sound, like 90s boom bap. I also play music. I play piano, and I've been dabbling a little bit in ambient and more experimental stuff. I really like the sound of like orchestral horror, so like I've made some of that. One day I'd like to, maybe like make the score for a video game or like a movie or something, like a piece of media. And also I voice act on occasion and just like to create. So
very, very busy.
Yeah.
You also work a little bit with samples, right? Well, a lot, I've heard.
Yeah, no, because of 90s boom bap, most of how I make my production is sample based, and I like to go above and beyond to find stuff that hasn't been used, or like something that has been used, maybe like use it in a way that hasn't been tried before, kind of put a new spin on it. But I like to have kind of a loose philosophy on sampling, but it's definitely my go-to way of production.
Some people would say sampling isn't a real form of music. What's your viewpoints on that? What do you think?
Well, I think that the sampler should be treated as kind of its own instrument. There's a lot of people who have kind of revolutionized how a sampler is used and how samples can be used to create like mind-blowing works of like composition and entirely new like soundscapes. Like people who can take like 10 different songs, all different genres, all different artists that were never meant to be together and turn it into something amazing. And that is like a huge inspiration for me. Like my favorite album of all time is an album by DJ Shadow. It's called Introducing. It came out in 1996.
Okay.
And he made it using an MPC, like an Akai MPC, which is a classic sampler, and a keyboard. And he went to his record store and bought a bunch of records and just sat and made this like crazy like it doesn't sound like it's hip hop. It's almost like progressive hip hop in a way. Mm-hmm. Like there are tracks that give these like certain vibes that you don't get in music from back then or even now. Like he hits a vibe that's very like special to me and special to a lot of people. And it's a huge inspiration for me, and that's why I think sampling is kind of its own beast, and why I don't think it should be scrutinized as much as it should.
Yeah.
But a lot of that is probably partially to people who sample illegally and put stuff out with the intent to make money who haven't actually paid royalties.
Yeah.
And, if you can, you should. Like, don't plagiarize, but I think that some people, like especially like kids making beats in their bedrooms, can't afford like $1,000 sample clearance. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of tricky. Like if you're starting off, just kind of like low. But it's something that I think is becoming more mainstream. Like people are embracing it a little more. But there's still some trouble, of course. Like there's still lawsuits like every year over samples that haven't been cleared. But I think that it's kind of like painting a picture. Every color you use adds another layer to a painting. Mm-hmm. And a painting can be made of thousands of layers. It doesn't matter how much you've painted. It's built on thousands and thousands of pieces. It doesn't matter how long it took you to make it or what pieces you used. At the end, you have a beautiful picture. And I think that sampling is kind of close to that. Like, it doesn't matter what you did as long as the end result sounds great.
Okay, you said you do production earlier. Do you have any artists that you produce, or do you produce your own music? Or
I mainly produce for myself. I'm looking for people to produce, but a lot of the people I've attempted to work with before prefer a more modern sound, and that's fine with me. I think that's absolutely fine. But I want to work with someone who likes the kind of stuff that I would make, someone that could vibe with it and fit it.
Yep.
Because if you get someone who wants to rap like if you get someone who wants to rap like 2 Chainz or modern rappers, you might have a problem because you've got people rapping over boom bap tracks that are like mumble rapping, but it's just like it's a vibe that doesn't fit the beat. I want to find someone that like can match it, and like someone I can kind of suit it to,
Yeah, you don't want to just make music for the wrong artist,
Yeah, I don't want to give someone a CD of like 10 tracks that it's just going to do what they like. I want to make it personal. Yeah. Have a good connection with the MC and like, anybody that I work with.
What would you say are your 3 biggest influences when it comes to music and production in general? What are your 3 influences?
I would say, well, there's a ton of amazing hip-hop producers out there, like ones that I think are absolutely classic, like DJ Premier, Pete Rock, Prince Paul, tons and tons of like fantastic producers, really talented. But my 3 biggest influences overall to how I make my stuff are DJ Shadow, because he made my favorite album ever, and he revolutionized the way that sampling works and how people can view it, because it's not just like taking a 4-second loop of a James Brown song and just like rapping over it. He took pieces from all over to create a soundscape and make this like special vibe that only he could make. And then I would say Madlib is another one of my big influences. He has a very loose philosophy on sampling, which is that anybody can sample, but it takes skill to sample correctly. Like, it takes a lot of thought and a lot of effort to be able to take something and use it in a way that's actually going to be like really good. Because any Joe Schmo can like take this track and you can put it in a program and then call it good. You have to know exactly what you want to do and kind of think of it like a painting. You use your colors to make a picture, and you got to be very selective about how you want to use what you have. And lastly, I would say that my dad is one of my big influences. Not to de-rank him, number 3, nothing, but he got the ball rolling. My dad was a DJ in northern Michigan in the late 90s, early 2000s, and he worked with a lot of local artists. He has some of his work, like I still have some of his work on CD. He gave me his Technics from when he DJ'd, and it's almost like he's passing down the torch, and I really, really like going off of that. He showed me artists in hip-hop that I love, and he inspired me to create kind of the way he did, and he's absolutely a big inspiration for me.
Okay, do you have a release online that people can go check out?
Yes, I do. I have an album on Bandcamp. It's called Homebrew Volume 1, and it's work that I've made from 2013 to 2016, a little bit from now, but a lot of it is very rough. In fact, all of it is rough because it's using my home setup, which is a live DJ software and the Technics. So it's incredibly rough, but in a way that's kind of stylistic. I prefer rough hip-hop, so I'm becoming more okay with it and with putting it online for people to view. So it is on Bandcamp, Homebrew Volume 1. I'm known as Son of Supernatural. If you look me up, it'll be The Son of Supernatural. It's free to download. You can stream it on Bandcamp, and if you feel like it, you can donate too. So don't feel obligated, but I really appreciate it if you do.
Yeah, and do you have one definitive song that you've made that you think would define you?
A song I've made that would define me.
Or just show a good range of what you do?
If I had to think about it, a track that I would pick would be probably the second track off that album. There's a vibe that I kind of picked up on when I was making it, and I really like how it turned out. And there was a little bit of work involved that I kind of enjoyed messing around with. Like, for instance, in that song, I worked with a drum sample that was in 3/4 time. And I used the 3/4 loop at the beginning, but then I turned it into a 4/4 pattern.
Oh, that's cool.
and you know, it's a simple thing, but it adds a lot of oomph to that beat. And I really like the main sample, and I just really like how it turned out. So I would say definitely that track in particular.
Okay, well, thanks for being on my show today, Spencer. It was nice talking to you. Make sure to go check him out on Bandcamp. Are you on SoundCloud too, I think I've seen?
I do have a SoundCloud, but I need to update it. So
Okay.
I will, and yeah, no, I'll update my SoundCloud, and if anything changes, I'll let Chris know.
Okay, yeah, just check it out in the description. Thanks. Bye.